I walked into the living room on Christmas Eve holding my wrapped gifts. I had a small note in my pocket with a little Christmas speech I had written for the family. I wanted to thank them for getting through a hard year with me. The tree lights were glowing, and carols were playing low on the TV. I felt nervous but also proud that I had planned something kind. Dad sat in his chair like a king at the head of the room. Deborah was on the couch, legs crossed, holding a wine glass. Aunt Patrice laughed at something on her phone. Kyle sat near the window, already filming everything like usual. I cleared my throat. "Hey, I wanted to share something this year," I began. Dad lifted his hand, sharp and cold. "Sit down," he said. "Christmas is not about you this year. You need to stop acting like you are the center of this family." Deborah smirked over the rim of her glass. Aunt Patrice actually laughed out loud. Kyle kept recording. My face burned. Right then, the doorbell rang, loud and clear. Dad went still, like he had just seen a ghost. For a second, no one moved. Then Dad stood up fast and walked to the door. I could see the muscles in his neck tighten as he opened it. A man stood on the porch in a dark coat and neat tie. He held a sealed envelope and a small metal lockbox. "Delivery for," and then he said my full name very clearly. Deborah rose from the couch at once. "We handle all her mail," she said, reaching for it. The courier stepped back and shook his head. "I am required to hand this only to the person named," he said. "And I need their signature in front of witnesses." He turned to me and held out a small digital pad. My hands shook, but I walked over and signed. Dad's face changed from anger to something like fear. "You can open that outside," he snapped. "This is not the time." My stomach twisted. Instead, I broke the seal right there in the doorway. On top was a letter with a law firm logo and bold words near the top. "Urgent estate matter," I read aloud. The whole room fell silent. My fingers felt numb as I unfolded the letter. The law firm name at the top was familiar. I had seen it once on an old envelope in Grandpa Lionel's study. The letter said my late grandfather Lionel had left special instructions. The law firm was ordered to deliver this package to me on Christmas Eve if my father had not already told me about a certain family agreement. It said the timing was important. Dad stiffened and stepped closer. "Your grandfather was a manipulative old man," he said through his teeth. "You do not have to listen to this." Deborah snorted. "This is probably some cruel joke from the grave," she said. "He always liked drama." I ignored them and opened the lockbox. Inside was a small old key with a worn tag, a slim USB drive, and a folded note in Grandpa's shaky handwriting. I opened the note. 2 short sentences stared back at me. "Trust your memory. Then trust your paperwork." I read the words twice. A strange chill went through me, like the room had grown colder. I stared at the key and suddenly remembered the house from my childhood. Grandpa's old place with the tall oak tree, the narrow staircase, and the secret closet in the hallway where he kept files. I used to visit on weekends with Mom before she died. "I remember the house," I said slowly. "The one near the lake. What happened to it?" Dad did not look at me. "It was sold years ago," he said quickly. "Before you were even a teenager. Nothing there belongs to you." I looked back at the note. The date at the bottom was from just 2 weeks before Grandpa died. That was not years ago. Deborah came to my side and touched my arm. "Come on," she said in a sweet but sharp voice. "You are getting worked up. Let us go to your room and calm down. The adults will handle this." I pulled my arm away. "I am an adult," I said, "and this is addressed to me." I walked to the coffee table, plugged the USB drive into my laptop, and opened it. Everyone gathered around, drawn in even while they pretended not to care. A single video file appeared on the screen. I clicked play. Grandpa's face filled the screen. He sat in his old armchair, the one with the faded green pattern. His eyes were tired but still sharp and kind. "If you are watching this," he said, "then certain people have not done what they promised." He took a breath. "I love this family, but I know how fear and greed can twist hearts. I told your father, Frank, that he had to be honest with you. I was not sure he would." Dad cursed under his breath. "Turn that off," he growled. I raised the volume. "In this message," Grandpa went on, "I confirm that I created a trust. You are the primary beneficiary and the temporary executor until the legal meeting can take place. The trust includes assets I refuse to place under your father's control." Dad exploded. "This is a lie," he said. He did not know what he was doing at the end. Grandpa kept speaking, calm and steady. "If anyone tells you this is fake, remember there are copies. The first legal meeting is tomorrow morning, on Christmas Day, at the time written in your letter." The video ended. No music, no fade out, just a black screen and thick silence. Dad turned to me with wild eyes. "We are not going anywhere tomorrow," he said. "Christmas is for the family. These lawyers are just trying to stir up trouble." Deborah folded her arms. "She has always been unstable," she added. "She should not be dealing with legal stuff. It will only confuse her and upset everyone." I looked down at the letter again. There was a phone number and an email for Ms. Caldwell, the attorney. I walked to the corner of the room and texted the number with shaking hands. "Hi, this is," and I wrote my name. "I received the package. Am I expecting tomorrow?" Within minutes, my phone buzzed with a reply. "Yes, 10 in the morning. Please bring any documents related to your mother, Renee, especially financial or insurance papers. They may be important to the trust." My chest tightened when I read my mother's name. Dad saw the message over my shoulder and snatched the phone, but I pulled it away. "Give me that," he snapped. "No," I said quietly. For the first time in a long time, I felt a small, hard core of courage settle inside me. That night my room felt too small and too quiet. The Christmas lights outside my window blinked in slow patterns that did not match my racing thoughts. I pulled the old family folder from the bottom of my closet. It was thick with papers from years ago. Inside I found my mother's death certificate, folded and worn. Right behind it was an insurance statement I barely remembered seeing as a child. Dad had always said it was nothing big, just enough to help with bills. This time, I read every line. The amount was far from small. It was more than enough to change someone's life. My door was cracked open a little. I heard soft voices in the hallway. "She cannot be allowed to go to that meeting," Deborah whispered. "If she does, everything falls apart." "She will not," Dad said. "I will take care of it." Much later I finally slept, clutching the folder to my chest. In the morning, when I went outside with my keys, my car gave only a weak click and then nothing. Dad peeked out the front door. "Looks like the car is dead," he said. "Maybe that is a sign. You should stay home." I took a breath, pulled out my phone, and ordered a rideshare. The city was cold and bright as the rideshare dropped me in front of the law office. Tall glass windows reflected the winter sky. Inside, everything smelled like coffee and paper. The receptionist looked up as I walked in. "You must be here for the Caldwell estate appointment," she said at once. "We have had your file ready for weeks. Please take a seat." My hands were still cold when I sat down. For a moment I let myself imagine turning around and going home. Then I pictured Dad's face when he told me Christmas was not about me, and I stayed. The door opened a little while later. Dad walked in with Deborah right behind him. Aunt Patrice followed, her perfume entering the room before she did. They acted like they were in control, talking loudly and complaining about parking. Dad barely looked at me. A woman in a gray suit stepped out from a side door. "Good morning," she said. "I am Ms. Caldwell. Please come into the conference room." We sat around a long table. She opened a thick folder with my name on the front. "Your grandfather's trust includes real estate, investments, and one special clause connected to your mother's estate," she said. Deborah's smile faded at once. Ms. Caldwell slid a document toward the center of the table. "This is a record of a separate inheritance in your mother Renee's name," she said. "It was left for you. You were a minor at the time, so your father was asked to manage it for you." My heart was hammered. I had never seen this paper before. Dad leaned forward. "That money was used to pay off family debts," he said quickly. "Hospital bills, mortgage, all of that. There was nothing left. I did what I had to do." Ms. Caldwell looked calm. Her pen tapped once on the table. "Our review of your financial history does not support that," she said. "The funds were transferred to an account that was never used for any recorded debt. We will return to that later." Before she could continue, the door opened again. A woman stepped in, holding a neat folder and a worn journal. She looked to be in her 40s, with kind eyes and a tired smile. "I am sorry I am late," she said. "I am Tessa, Renee's best friend. She asked me to come if something like this ever happened." Dad's jaw clenched. "What is this circus?" he muttered. "She is not family." Ms. Caldwell gestured for Tessa to sit. "We will hear what she has to say," the attorney said. Tessa sat beside me and placed the journal on the table. Her hands shook a little as she opened it. Inside were pages filled with my mother's handwriting. "Renee gave this to me before she died," Tessa said. "She said she was afraid her wishes would not be followed. She wanted someone to guard the truth for her child." She looked at me, and her eyes softened. "I tried to bring this up once years ago," she added quietly. "Your father shut me out." Dad slammed his palm on the table. "This is nonsense," he snapped. "You are just trying to get attention and money." Renee was sick. She did not know what she was doing near the end. Tessa did not yell back. She simply pulled out printed emails, dated and labeled. They showed my mother talking with the law firm and with Grandpa about protecting my future. Ms. Caldwell studied them, then closed the folder. "I am going to ask for a short break," she said. "I want to verify these documents with our internal records." We stepped into the hallway. The air felt colder there. Deborah moved closer to me, her voice low. "If you stop this now," she said, "we can work something out. You get a small payment, enough for school or whatever, and you sign away any claim to the trust today. No drama. No more family fights." I stared at her. "No," I said. "I am not signing anything." Her eyes hardened. "You are making a big mistake," she whispered. We returned to the conference room. The tension felt even heavier than before. Ms. Caldwell took her seat and folded her hands. "I have reviewed the materials from Tessa and compared them with our records," she said. "They match. The documents are genuine. Your mother's wishes were clear. The inheritance was meant to support her child directly, not to disappear." Dad swore under his breath. Ms. Caldwell opened another folder. "In addition, your grandfather Lionel's trust grants you controlling authority over a portfolio of rental properties he owned. You will also hold a voting share in the family business your father currently manages." I blinked, trying to understand. "The business," I said slowly. "The warehouse company. The one on River Road." "Yes," she replied. "The land under that business was never placed in your father's name. It remained in Lionel's estate. You now have a say in how the business uses that land and how profits are handled." Dad's face turned red. "That is impossible," he shouted. "I built that company. She has no idea how any of this works." I felt small for a moment, but the facts were solid on the table in front of us. They did not shake when he yelled. Dad's lawyer, who had barely spoken until now, adjusted his glasses. My client believes the named executor is too young and inexperienced for these responsibilities, he said. Handling rental properties and a business share is complex. It would be better placed fully under Frank's control. Ms. Caldwell did not look surprised. The trust anticipated this concern, she said. In case of any challenge, your grandfather named a co-trustee with full authority to act if needed. She turned toward the door. The co-trustee is Dr. Simone Reyes, your godmother. The door opened, and a woman with short silver hair walked in. She wore a simple dark suit and carried a leather folder. Her eyes warmed when she saw me. I have not seen you since you were small, she said softly. You used to hold onto my necklace with your tiny hands. Memories flickered. A gentle voice reading stories. A warm hug at my mother's funeral. Dad shifted in his chair. You, he said flatly. I told you to stay away from my family. Dr. Reyes took a seat beside me. I promised Renee I would not vanish, she said. I also promised Lionel I would step in if needed. I am here now. Dad ran a hand over his face and gave a long sigh. I just wanted a peaceful Christmas, he said loudly. I wanted us together as a family, and now look at this. Lawyers, attacks, everyone against me. My child always finds a way to create chaos. The words stung, but I did not answer him. Dr. Reyes leaned forward, calm and steady. Frank, she said, why did you never show your child the documents from Renee or Lionel? Why did you hide them when they were clearly meant to be shared? For once, Dad had no quick response. He opened his mouth, closed it, then looked away. We will not solve every feeling today, Ms. Caldwell said. But we will follow the law. The trust will begin its transfer process immediately. That includes setting up separate accounts in the beneficiary's name and registering property control. Deborah pushed back her chair. This is outrageous, she said. You are poisoning our family. I will not sit here and watch this. She stormed out of the room, her heels hitting the floor hard. Aunt Patrice followed, still muttering. Ms. Caldwell made notes in her file. We will need everyone present again in a few days for signatures, she said. In the meantime, I advise all parties not to threaten or pressure the beneficiary. Any such actions will be recorded. That afternoon I went back to the house to pack a few things. The sky was gray, and the lawn was covered with patches of old snow. The Christmas decorations still blinked on the porch, bright and fake. When I tried my key in the front door, it did not turn. I tried again. Nothing. After a moment, my phone buzzed with a message from Dad. You are no longer welcome here until you learn respect, it read. Stay away until you drop this foolish case. I stared at the words. The old panic rose in my chest, tight and sharp. This was still the house where I had grown up, the place where my room held boxes of my memories. Now, just like that, I was locked out. My phone rang. It was Dr. Reyes. I was about to call you, I said. I am ahead of you, she replied. Your grandfather thought something like this might happen. The trust includes a housing clause. Years ago, he bought a small apartment in your name, kept under the trust. You have legal access to it right now. I pressed my back against the cold door and closed my eyes. Are you serious? I whispered. Yes, she said. Meet me there. I will bring the keys and the paperwork. For the first time that day, hope pushed back against the fear. The apartment was on the third floor of a quiet building across town. The walls were clean, the floors wood, and the windows wide enough to catch the winter light. It was not huge, but it was mine. Dr. Reyes handed me the keys and a folder with copies of the trust pages. This is your space, she said. No one can throw you out of here without going through a judge and me. Remember that. Tessa arrived with a box of groceries and some blankets. She smiled when she saw my face soften a little. We will get you settled, she said. You are not alone. That night, I sat on the new couch with my phone in my hand. I opened the extended family group chat. Dozens of pictures of trees, gifts, and dinners filled the screen. No one had mentioned what happened at the law office. I typed a calm message. Hi everyone. I wanted you to hear this from me. Grandpa's trust is being handled by the court. I have some legal rights I did not know about before. I want peace and fairness, not a fight. I hope we can talk when things settle. A few minutes later, Aunt Patrice responded with a long, angry message. She called me dramatic and ungrateful and said I had stolen Christmas. Just after that, a voice note appeared from Kyle. It sounded like it had been sent by accident. I tapped the voice note and heard Kyle's voice, low and nervous. I already started recording, just talk, he whispered. Then Dad's voice came through, clear and sharp. We need to get ahead of this, he said. We tell everyone she turned on the family, tried to take what is ours. Deborah, call your sister. Patrice will spread the word. We make her look greedy, and no one will take her side. Deborah spoke next. Maybe we say she has always had mental problems. People love that story. If we repeat it enough, they will believe it. Then anything she shows them will look fake. I felt my heart drop. Kyle tried to cut in. Dad, this is not right, he said. She did not do anything. The recording cut off there. My hands shook as I set the phone down. For a moment I just stared at the wall, feeling both sick and strangely clear. Then I opened the group chat again. I wrote a short, firm message. There are things being said about me that are not true. I will not fight in this chat, but I will share documents and recordings with anyone in the family who wants to see them. I am asking for privacy and honesty, not war. Some cousins liked the message. 2 sent small heart emojis. Later that night, my cousin Malik sent me a private text. I believe you, he wrote. And I found something in the business records you should see. Malik worked sometimes at the family business office, doing simple tasks and filing. The next day, we met in a quiet coffee shop near the apartment. He brought a folder stuffed with printed pages. I started looking through old financial reports, he said. Some of the numbers never added up, but I thought I was just bad at math. After what you wrote, I checked again. He pointed to a page that showed large transfers from the business account to another company name I did not recognize. This is a side company in Deborah's name, he explained. A small online shop she runs. Your dad said the business was struggling and that is why you could not get help with school or anything extra. But money was flowing out to this other place. My stomach turned. So he said we were broke while he was moving funds to her project, I said. Malik nodded. Dr. Reyes asked an accountant she trusts to look at these, he added. She is in the back. She agreed to meet you. A woman joined us at the table with a laptop and a calm smile. She showed us more patterns. The biggest transfers matched dates of huge family fights, nights when Dad had shouted about bills and sacrifice. We will send all this to Ms. Caldwell, the accountant said. You are not crazy. The numbers tell a story too. That night, when I got home, someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw Dad standing there alone. He wore a heavy coat and no smile. When I did not open right away, he spoke through the door. I just want to talk, he said. No yelling. Please. I thought of the voice note and the plan to smear me. I thought of the changed locks at the old house. Still, a small part of me wanted to hear what he would say. We can talk at the cafe on the corner, I replied through the door. Lots of people there. He hesitated, then agreed. At the cafe, He ordered 2 hot chocolates like he used to when I was small. He sat across from me and sighed. "I am sorry," he began. "Things got out of hand." Deborah pushed me, and I listened. I just wanted the family to feel safe and united. You know how sensitive you can be. I was afraid you would overreact. His words were soft, but they felt like a blanket placed over my eyes. Then he reached into his bag and slid a document across the table. "This is a settlement," he said. "You keep some things, I keep control of the rest. If you sign, all this drama can end. We can be a family again." My fingers hovered over the pages. Something in his eyes had shifted. His smile did not reach his face. I read the document slowly. If I signed, my role as executor would shrink to almost nothing. Dad would gain back full control over the business and most of the properties. I would get a fixed payment and a promise of support. When I did not pick up the pen, his voice changed. The softness slipped away. "If you refuse," he said, "I will contest the trust in court. I will drag this out for years. Legal fees will eat up everything. You will get nothing in the end. Is that what you want?" My hands trembled, but I kept them in my lap. "I do not want a fight," I said quietly. "But I am not signing away my rights because you are angry. Grandpa and Mom did not do all this work so I could give it back out of fear." His jaw clenched. "You always did like to make things hard," he said. After he left, my legs felt weak, but I walked straight back to the apartment and called Ms. Caldwell. I told her about the meeting and the threat. She listened, then said, "Your grandfather included a penalty clause in the trust. If your father files a challenge without strong legal grounds, he risks losing his own share. It was designed to stop exactly this kind of pressure." I let out a long breath I did not know I was holding. For the first time, his threat did not feel bigger than me. The next move came from Deborah. She posted bright, happy pictures on social media of the living room, with a caption about family healing time. Then she sent me a cheerful text. "We are having a Christmas Day redo dinner this weekend," she wrote. "Only close family. We want you there. Time to fix this mess together." The real Christmas Day had already passed in a blur of lawyers and shock. This felt more like a stage than a holiday. Still, Ms. Caldwell and Dr. Reyes agreed it might be better not to refuse. "You go, but you are not alone," Dr. Reyes said. "Tessa and I will be nearby if anything happens." So I went. When I walked into the old house, it smelled like roasted turkey and cinnamon. The tree still stood in the corner, though some of the lights had gone out. Relatives filled the room, talking and eating. Deborah raised her glass when she saw me. "Look who is here," she said with a wide smile. "Our brave girl. We want to show her that family comes before legal battles." During dinner, she stood up again. "I would like to make a little toast," she said. "And then maybe our dear one here can say a few words." Her eyes flicked to me, sharp behind the smile. "I hope you will tell everyone you forgive your father for everything and that you simply misunderstood the trust," she added sweetly. The room grew very quiet. I stood slowly. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Every face around the table turned toward me. "I do want healing," I said. "I want peace very much. But peace without truth is just silence, and I have been quiet for a long time." I saw a few heads tilt, curious. "I was never told about my mother's inheritance," I went on. "I was never told about the trust Grandpa set up. When I started to ask questions, I got locked out of my home. People were told I was unstable and greedy. I was asked to sign away my rights in secret." No one spoke. I could hear the clock on the wall ticking. "I am not trying to steal Christmas," I said. "I am trying to understand why people I love hid the truth from me for years." At that moment, Kyle blurted out, "She is telling the truth." Everyone turned to him. "I heard them," he said, voice shaking. "Dad and Deborah. They planned to make her look crazy and greedy. They said they would lock her out forever. I sent the voice note by mistake, but it was real." Dad shot to his feet. "Enough," he snapped. "Go to your room, Kyle." But something in the air had changed. Dad grabbed Kyle's arm, but Kyle pulled back. "For once I am not lying for you," my brother said. "I am tired of it." That one moment cracked the picture of the perfect family that Dad and Deborah had tried to keep. The room buzzed with uneasy whispers. Aunt Patrice jumped in like she always did. "This is ridiculous," she said. "You are tearing this family apart over money. We raised you. We fed you. And this is how you repay us. You are letting outsiders and lawyers poison your mind." Her words used to crush me. This time, I stayed standing. Dr. Reyes, who had taken a seat quietly in the back of the room, spoke up. "I am not an outsider," she said. "I am her godmother. And I am also the co-trustee named by Lionel. Let me share the timeline." She explained the letters, the video, the missing inheritance, the changed locks, and the attempted deals. She spoke in simple, clear words, not angry, just steady. "Accountability is not division," she said. "It is how a family stops repeating the same harm." No one clapped, of course, but several relatives looked down at their plates, shame on their faces. After dinner, two of the older relatives, Great-Uncle Henry and Great-Aunt Louise, came to me quietly. "We would like to speak with you," Henry said. "Just us for now." We sat in the old den, away from the noise of the dining room. The walls were lined with photos of family parties from years ago. In many of them, Grandpa stood in the background, watching everyone with careful eyes. Great-Aunt Louise smoothed her skirt. "Lionel tried to talk to your father more than once," she said. "He wanted him to be open about your mother's wishes and the money that was meant for you. They argued every time." Great-Uncle Henry nodded slowly. "We were told a different story," he added. "We were told you were disrespectful, always asking for more, never satisfied. We did not push back because we did not want to get in the middle." His face looked tired. "I see now that we were wrong," he said. "We should have asked you directly, not just believed one side." They both looked at me with a mix of regret and hope. "We would like to help now," Louise said. "If you are willing, we can bring the family together for a council. Not to shout, but to listen. We will act as mediators." I thought about it. The idea of another big meeting made my stomach tighten. But hiding had never helped me. "I will agree," I said, "on one condition. We use the actual documents, and we play Grandpa's video. No more stories without proof." They both nodded. "That is more than fair," Henry replied. The family council met 2 weeks later in the same law office where it had all started. This time, more relatives filled the chairs. The air felt heavy, but also ready. Ms. Caldwell sat at the head of the table. She placed the trust documents, my mother's journal copies, and the financial reports in front of everyone. Then she pressed play on Grandpa's video. We all watched his lined face and steady voice as he spoke about fear, honesty, and my place in the family. No one interrupted him this time. When the video ended, Ms. Caldwell turned to Dad. "Frank," she said, "is there anything you want to say before we move forward?" For a long moment, he stayed silent. His shoulders sagged as if he carried something very heavy. "I panicked after Renee died," he said finally. "I was afraid of losing control of the money and the house and everything. I told myself I would fix it later. Then I got used to things the way they were. I did not want to share power with anyone, even my own child." Deborah opened her mouth, ready to jump in, but he held up a hand. Do not, he said quietly. This one is on me. He turned to me. I am sorry, he said, for hiding your mother's inheritance, for locking you out, for trying to push you into a bad deal. I cannot undo what I have done, but I can stop fighting you now. Ms. Caldwell outlined a structured plan. Dad would respect the trust as written and also repay some of the misused funds over time. He agreed. The room was calmer now, but not relaxed. Healing never happens in one day. Still, something had shifted. There is one more item, Ms. Caldwell said. She opened a separate envelope from the file. This is a second letter from Lionel, she explained. He asked that it be read only after the first council meeting. She handed it to me. My hands shook as I unfolded it and read quietly, then I read parts out loud. He wrote about watching me grow up, about my quiet nature, and about the way I always tried to keep peace even when I was hurting. He said he had seen my strength and my fairness. He asked the family to see me not as a threat, but as a builder. Tears blurred my vision. I accept your apology, I told Dad, but I am keeping the boundaries the trust gives me. I will not disappear again. I hope someday we can have a real relationship, but it must be honest. He nodded, eyes wet. Later that week, I invited Kyle to spend the weekend at my apartment. We cooked simple food, watched movies, and decorated a small tree together. There were no fancy speeches, no big crowds. On Christmas Eve the next year, I sat in my own living room with the lights glowing softly. I opened my grandfather's letter again, then closed my eyes. I was not the center of the family, but I had finally learned that I could lead my own life with both backbone and heart.